Well, I think the key point here is that Turkey definitely needs growth in order to sustain a lot of its unemployment or draw down its unemployment levels in order to be able to support actually corporate performance as well. So there is definitely this need to maintain growth, but we have seen that growth has been above potential, around 7% or so in the last few quarters, which is of course not very good for some of the fundamentals of the economy that we've seen eroding over the past few weeks and also the past few months. So I think the key challenge for the new government will be to try to get that growth levels slowly normalizing and slowly coming down, while also preventing a hard landing in the economy, and to try to, of course, ensure a gradual normalization of the cost base across the real sector as well. So a lot of challenges that the new economic policymakers have to tackle all at the same time.
How would you characterize the confidence level inside Turkey right now for this government? Because essentially we heard over the last 24 hours or so from the finance minister, and he said that he wants to continue when it comes to really building Turkey, building back up their fiscal discipline. They've tried to do that over the last couple of years. They haven't been as successful as many had hoped in terms of doing that. I mean, what's the confidence right now, do you think?
Well, so across different sectors, you do see that confidence has started to come down since early 2018, especially, and definitely eroding in May and June because of the exchange rate depreciation that we've seen. There is definitely some impetus to give this government a chance to showcase its new policies. Just yesterday, the Minister of Treasury and Finance, Berat Albayrak, has been in contact with bankers, economists, etc., and has said that he will remain in touch with the private sector as they draft the new policy. There's a new 5-year economic plan that is being developed. So there's definitely ongoing communication with the private sector to ensure that the incentives that are provided there and some of the supporting reforms do occur in line with what the private sector needs. But for sure, quite a bit of cautious optimism there, not very strong in terms of just having that impetus to invest. That's the main difference we're seeing. There's definitely a wait-and-see mode across the companies to watch what the government will do, but we see that investment levels have remained very low. Private sector investment levels, especially that are not in the construction sector, they remain quite low as a sign of just weak confidence in future stability of the economy.
And just allied to that, Zeynep, how close would you say Turkey is to an outright emerging market crisis or crash that would necessitate the intervention of an IMF bailout?
So first of all, depends on where we see the crisis coming from. But from the sovereign debt side, we don't expect defaults there because we have still quite low debt levels from the fiscal side. But when you look at the corporate side, of course, after 2 to 3 years of actually currency depreciation eroding margins on the private sector, we do have an increasing likelihood of more widespread defaults across the economy. That is still, we believe, a low likelihood tomorrow. But as time passes, and that's the key thing, as time passes, we will see that if lira volatility continues, the likelihood of that, of course, continues to increase into next year.
Zeynep, very quickly, 7.4% growth last year looks unsustainable. What have you got targeted in terms of the GDP rate for this year and 2019?
So we do expect a slowdown in GDP in H2 2018, the second half of this year, and going into 2019 as well. So we do expect a kind of manageable, gradual slowdown in the economy, driven by slower consumer spending, slower investment growth as well. And into 2019, we should see around 3.8, 3.9% of growth or so in the GDP. So definitely coming down from the 7.4% we've seen in Q1. But we do need that to stabilize the economy.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.